So there was this article I saw about China's debt cancellation in Africa, and the headline says, "Will China's debt cancellation make a difference?" They pose the question, like in Africa, Africa is heavily indebted to China, and people are worried that Africa might not be able to pay back some of the loans they are owing China, which might force China to seize some of the properties of Africa. So let's go through this article before I will give you my opinion about debt and debt cancellation. So the article says, while welcome, Beijing debt relief for 17 African countries will likely have more political than economic impact. Yeah, what they are trying to say is that the debt cancellation for 17 African countries will likely be more political leverage on them than economic. It means Beijing is going to have more political leverage on these African countries than economic. And it's yet to be seen which countries actually benefit from this debt cancellation. Because, like I have said in my previous video, Beijing or China did not make known which countries are the beneficiaries of this debt cancellation. But let's continue. In mid-August, China Ministry of Foreign Affairs surprised the world with a series of announcements at the ministerial meeting of the Forum for Africa-China Cooperation. Beijing's most senior diplomat promised extensive debt relief for some of the world's poorest countries. Wang Yi committed to no longer demanding repayment of a concessional loans that had recently reached maturity, but which 17 African states had failed to pay off. Outstanding balance on loans mostly extended by China's Ministry of Commerce and those slated to be cancelled. So what they are saying is that these loans are due for payment, but the African countries haven't paid them yet. And so Beijing has decided to cancel the loan, to forgive the loans. Details about beneficiaries and credit lines are still to be released, but for an African standpoint, this was welcome, if somewhat expected news. Wang's proclamation was timely in light of the growing sense of a looming debt crisis in many developing countries in Africa. Combined private and public external debt more than 696 billion, of which China lenders account for 12%. The continent's average debt to GDP ratio has grown from over 50% prior to the pandemic to 70% this year. According to the African Development Bank, as of February 2022, 23 African countries were either in distress or at risk of it. The recent economic meltdown and toppling of the Rajapaksa family regime in Sri Lanka rattled countries across Africa. All this goes to tell you that, first and foremost, debt is not a bad thing. But what you use this debt or what you use these loans to do might be good or bad, might help the economy grow, or might just put you in a very bad situation. So I think that debt cancellation in Africa wouldn't solve any problem for Africa as long as the Africans do not learn anything. Africans need to learn how to use loans, how to use debt to the advantage of Africa. Africans need to learn to use debt in such a way that those debts become very, very productive. If Africa does not use loans they take in a wisely manner, then Africa is going to be indebted without having anything to show forth. Africa and Africans must learn this. They must use the money they borrow, or they must use loans in such a way that benefits Africa and benefit the African people. It's like giving out aid to Africa. Those do not help Africa. They've never helped Africa. Africa must learn to stand on its own 2 feet. So I do not believe that loan forgiveness can be a solution for Africa. I can remember clearly a couple of years ago, a few countries had their loan forgiven by the World Bank and the IMF. But till now, they are still indebted in so much debt. It's like saying, I will forgive a loan that I gave to you, but then I will give you more loans. How does that solve the problem? It's just like a cycle going round and round and round and round. It doesn't solve the problem. So people must learn to look at the root cause of the problem. People must learn to solve the problem from the very beginning. That is the only way we are going to move forward. And until Africa and Africans learn this, they will not move anywhere. They will stay in the same position. So, my brothers and sisters in Africa, share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Has debt forgiveness to Africa helped Africa move ahead? Has debt forgiveness ever be a solution to a problem? Let us know in the comment section below. Because, like always, we love hearing what you have to say. Thank you very much for watching this video and see you in the next one.